customer. I bought some of your courses as well, so it's good fun. Cool. Okay, so people, we are live with Ezra. I'm in Vietnam right now, and are you back in New York, Ezra?
Yeah, man.
Where are you?
New York in a snowstorm. It's wild.
In the snowstorm. Well, I'm got real sunburn today in Vietnam, so it's quite of a contrast.
Are you?
Thank you so much for taking the time to. Yeah.
Sure. Are you? Do you live overseas or?
I live in Norway, but I'm actually here in a mastermind here in Vietnam.
Cool.
And I just came from San Diego and Traffic and Conversion Summit, so I had the pleasure of watching some of your presentations as well.
Oh, thanks, man. What'd you think of this year's conference?
I thought it was a lot better than the year before. I think it was kind of much clearer messages, much more hands-on than it usually were. And also I thought it was more like laid back than it was maybe before. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that every year they get better at it. It's like with a business. You know, I've been telling people that I think that a business really hits stride at like year 3, year 4. You know, you got to give it time to kind of evolve, come of age, figure out what it is, release products, you know, let the marketing build up. I talk about this concept of halo, which is, let's say so my viewpoint is if you have a business that makes $1 million a year, okay, let's say your top line revenue number is $1 million. I think at a minimum, you should spend 15% of that, 150,000, back into amplification to invest in the building of the snowball. And at a maximum, 30%, so 300,000 of the million, back into paid amplification, buying visibility on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube and sending that visibility to your business. Now, when you do that, I spend about 25% of so I made 25 million last year. I spent about 6.5 million on paid amplification back into generating visibility for the brands. Now, that's about 25% of my top line number. Now, what happens, I'm getting to a point here, which is what happens is something called halo. So the customers that I bought last year, the remarketing lists, the email subscribers, the Facebook fans, in the next year, they make up some of my revenue. So I don't have to pay any money out of pocket for that halo effect of reinvesting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
That Absolutely. Is why businesses tend to really hit stride in year 3, 4, 5, because they have this halo of the investment of the years prior that build them up. And that is why I think it's really important to spend money on advertising consistently every year to build up that halo and to understand that we're not sprinting. We're running a marathon. We're sticking in it for the long term. We're building something of value over time. And that might be hard for people who say, well, I'm a drop shipper. I'm a print on demand person. And it's like, yeah, right on. Use the money that you're making from drop shipping and invest it into building a brand at some point.
I like that. And I think for me, seeing a lot of businesses almost give up on year 2 or 3 if they don't get that momentum. And I mean, that's sad because all the things you built up, all the anticipation, all the customers kind of, as you're saying, really kicks in after a few more years.
Yeah, it takes a while, you know, and I think that, you know, if you approach it with like, hey, I mean, look, it doesn't mean that you're not going to hit a home run. Like, for example, my company called Zipify Apps. Within 12 months of launch, we're doing over $1 million a year. But you have to understand that I had a whole history of a community of people who I knew were going to be interested in that product, i.e. media. I had the media to sell the product. I had the visibility already built. So when I brought the product out, I knew there was a market that was interested in it. So yeah, that one took off within a year, you know, but Boom took me several years to get up to a multi-million-dollar business. Smart Marketer took me several years to get up to a multi-million-dollar business. Be Friendly, which is my skincare brand, that one worked out much quicker. It was very successful very quickly. Sometimes that happens, but sometimes it doesn't, right? You got to be prepared for that.
That's true. I would love to know a little bit more about how you get started with Boom, because again, I'm really fascinated about all the marketing you guys are doing around Boom, but how did that business really get started, and kind of how has it evolved over the years?
You know, Boom, I started in 2010. It was just an idea. You know, I knew that I was already into e-commerce. I started in e-commerce in 2006, 2007, and I was doing drop shipping. And by the way, drop shipping back then was not AliExpress, Alibaba. There was no way to get to China. It didn't exist, you know. Drop shipping back then was you find someone at a farmer's market, or you find a supplier in America who has bar stools or gift baskets. You get them to give you a catalog of their products. You put those on the internet. You sell one using search engine optimization. That was the visibility source of the day. That was how you generated visibility for your products, was by ranking on Google organically. It's what Facebook ads is today. SEO was back then. And you make a sale, and then you fax the order over to the supplier. So I was doing that, and I realized that, you know, drop shipping was tough because I didn't control the supply chain and I didn't control the shipping. And so, you know, I would never know if stuff was in stock or out of stock. I wouldn't know when it was shipped. I mean, we're talking, think about the technology hurdles that people have today. Not a whole lot comparatively, but in 2007, like, technology did not exist. You could not get like shipping numbers passed through from a ship station. It just didn't have that. And so I kind of knew that, like, ultimately, if I wanted to scale a real business, I needed to control supply chain, shipping, manufacturing. Like, I needed to control the product side of things to really build a brand of substance and of stability, which is why I recommend people today start with drop shipping, because obviously you don't have a lot of money when you're getting started. I started broke, you know, now I have 70 employees. I did 25 million last year, but I'm just some guy off this couch in Brooklyn. I am nothing special. I'm just a guy who fell in love with this stuff, who's now been doing it for a decade. I never gave up, you know? And so anyone can do this, but my recommendation is you start with something where you can make money. And today that's print on demand and that's drop shipping. And then once you're making profit, you reinvest that back into creating your own brand, manufacturing your own products, white labeling your own products. And so for Boom, you know, I kind of got to this, I had this vision when I was a drop shipper, and I was like, this is never going to work to build a giant company, which is what my interest was. And so I started thinking about, you know, Cindy Joseph was my really good friend. She was a makeup artist. I understood that brands of the future were going to need stories, we're going to need content, weren't just going to be able to rely on search terms, which, you know, think about this, 2007 was search, find, buy. This idea of multi-data point contextual targeting, which for those of you who are not familiar with that lingo term, multi-data point contextual targeting is the way that people generate visibility for brands in today's environment. Meaning, you have Facebook, which has 1,000 data points on every user. They know how old the people are. They know what they purchased before. They know who their friends are. They know where they live. They know what gender they are. They have all these data points on users, and you're able to aggregate those data points to generate context on a person and put an ad in front of them based on context that you have on them. And that context comes from multiple data points. Multi-data point contextual targeting did not exist, was not a thing, was not even around. The only data point you had on a user was what website they were on. They're like, oh, they're on a website about cats. Show them an ad about cats. You had one data point. So back then it was, you know, the way that you got visibility for a physical product offer was someone searches for a keyword, dog bowl, you rank on Google, or you buy ads on Google AdWords for that keyword. So it was search, then they find the product, then they buy it. The sales cycle was much shorter because people were actively in search. Now, look, you can get some search-based traffic on Google AdWords, very expensive. You can get some search-based traffic on Pinterest, also very expensive right now. Most of the way that people are generating visibility for physical product offers in today's world is multi-data point contextual targeting. And with multi-data point contextual targeting, what you need is story-based content. Now, for some people who are selling impulse buy products that are under 30 bucks, that are just an impulse, that story is literally a 1-minute problem solution video. It's like a video of a guy in the car. He drops his phone between the seats. He can't reach it. He's agitated. And then he slips this little leather wallet in between the seats, drops the phone, pulls it right back out. 1 minute, they've shown the problem, they've agitated the problem, they've shown solution, they've gone straight to a product offer page from that video ad, done, right? That still exists. The sales cycle doesn't have to be really long. Now, with my businesses, I prefer a longer sales cycle because that gives me more retargeting buckets. And what we know is that people are going to take 6 to 8 touch points before they're willing to purchase, on average, today, in today's environment. Meaning your sales cycle may be as long as 90 days, as short as 1 day, 7 days, 30 days, but like I structure sales cycles where my first piece of content that someone is going to see is going to happen day one, and I've got things happening for like 90 days after that trying to get a sale. So I'm structuring very long sales cycles in today's environment. And the other thing that I found about today's environment of retailing is ideally it's nice to have products where you have a profit margin of buy for one, sell for five. So meaning you buy the product for $5, you sell it for 25 bucks. You buy it for 10, you sell it for 40, right? Buy for one, sell for four. As the product price for you purchasing it gets higher, the multiple can go down. So if you buy a product for 20, you don't have to sell it for 100. You could buy it for 20 and sell it for 70 or 80, right? You could buy for one and sell for three. But for most people who are buying cheaper products, you need that one for five, or you're not going to have enough margin to advertise, right? And if you look at my most popular products, I buy them for 7 and I sell them for 27 or 30, right? So I'm kind of in that buy for one, sell for five margin. If you look at the people who really scale big easily, it's the supplement people. And why is it the supplement people? It's because they're buying a bottle of stuff for $3 and selling it for 40. They have a lot of margin on those products, so they can do more advertising. So the better your margin, the more room you have for advertising. And I will also say, as I delve deeper, I lean towards premium products. Obviously, this is not a thing for folks who are just starting, who are doing drop shipping, impulse buys. I understand that. But as you develop your own brand, lean towards $40 average order value, $50 average order value, $80 average. When I look at a brand now, I'm looking for $100 average order value. I'm looking, if you look at Boom by Cindy Joseph, my average order value is $90. People come in, they don't just buy one stick, they buy 3 sticks together. And then I have upsells and cross sells that get my average order value up, right? So I'm looking for premium, high end, $100 orders so that I have a lot of margin to advertise. I'm more interested in premium markets as I spend more time online, because I see that the people who have the premium offers have way more resource to invest in advertising. And I see that the people who are investing in advertising are growing the assets over time. And it tends to be folks who have premium offers. Long, total tangent, but that's what my attention's on.
Yeah, but a lot of value, Boom. So thank you for that. Going back to kind of the original story behind Boom, you knew something about advertising. You had your friend was also an influencer in that space. How did you decide to sell the products you're selling, and how did you kind of find those products?
Yeah, we went to a trade show in New York City. I think it was at the Javits Center. We found a cosmetic supplier and we talked to them, and just kind of like how you do. You go to trade shows, you go to farmers markets. I mean, there's some people that forget about the value of trade shows. There are thousands of trade shows in every different market. And if you're talking about building a brand, what product you're selling is really important. So like investing the $500 for a plane ticket and $300 for a hotel room and a couple days of your life to get to a trade show, it's a great move, because then you meet everyone in the cosmetics industry, or everyone in the clothing and apparel industry, or everyone in the jewelry industry. Like, trade shows are a great place to find products to sell. And there's suppliers and manufacturers go to these trade shows looking for retailers, and I think people forget about the value of trade shows when it comes to sourcing products. You don't have to go to China. You go to a trade show and source a product, so that's where we did it. And I still think that is an underlooked at part of the industry, is these trade shows. You just Google trade shows and you just go down the rabbit hole of searching for trade shows. You're going to find a whole bunch, maybe even in your town. I really am a big fan of trade shows.
That's great. And then when you started, so I mean, that was a total new brand and a new audience to reach. What was the first kind of launch model or plans you had to get Boom up to a profitable level?
Can you explain that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So again, the question is that you found the product, you were kind of ready to launch it out in the world. How did you get started? I have a lot of people in my community that.
It was a different time. It's no longer relevant how we started back then. I realized my camera's up here. I'll try to look at it. By the way, I didn't know I was going to be on video. I got my sweatshirt on. I'm not dressed.
You look cool, man. You look cool.
But, the way that you do it today is you go out, you build a long-form product offer page. And what you need on your product offer page are known as conversion assets. That's my lingo term to describe an asset that you're using in a sales process. A conversion asset is a video testimonial, a product sales video, a bunch of product images, website copy, emails. Those are all different conversion assets. And for example, if you think about video testimonials of like your cousin or your friend saying this product is awesome, you can use those in your ads, you can use those in your emails, you can use those on your landing page. So you can reuse these assets that you generate. And the way that you got to frame it in your head is what's happening is you have multiple conversion assets. You got a sales page, you got a bunch of emails, you got videos and this and that, and you're using those conversion assets across different communication mediums, Facebook ads, email, on your website, Messenger, these different communication mediums that you have over time to generate a sale. So these conversion assets work in concert over time to generate a sale. So the idea here is, okay, you got a product you want to sell. First step, go create conversion assets. Write sales copy for it, get images taken of it, get video testimonials of it, do a product sales video for it, write some abandoned cart emails, post-purchase emails, pre-purchase emails, get your conversion assets in place. Step one. Step two, and obviously you need a really high quality sales page. I recommend Zipify Pages. That's my Shopify landing page builder. I do recommend it. It's a great tool. But then you need visibility. Right? So you got to go out and figure out what visibility source you're going to use. It's going to be Facebook ads, it's going to be Instagram ads, it's going to be YouTube ads, it's going to be influencer, whatever it is. Pick one visibility source and then start driving visibility through your conversion process, i.e. your sales process, and see what it costs. Spend a couple $100, see how much it costs to generate a sale. Let's say that you've got a sales page and a nice product demonstration video, and you run ads to that on Facebook, and you got an audience of people who watch 95% of the video but never bought, and you retarget them. So you got to do it for kind of a month, spend $500 or $600, get a sense of what does it cost to buy a sale in that market. Because the idea here is whatever it costs, you'll be able to cut in half. And the way you'll be able to cut that in half is with upsells, cross-sells, retargeting, post-purchase email sequences, cart abandonment email sequences, sale campaigns. You'll be able to bring that number down, but you need a base number. So, when you go out in a new market, it's probably going to be $50, $100 to buy a sale. So then it's like, well, how much profit do I make on this product? What do I have to get my average order value to be? What kind of upsells do I need in place? Kind of reverse engineer it. But the first thing you need is some baseline data, right?
Yeah. Interesting. I noticed in Traffic and Conversion Summit this year that Messenger bot was something everyone talked about, and you talked about a great deal as well. Can you maybe tell us a little bit about why that is important now and some of the tactics you are using to generate sales through Messenger?
I think Messenger is still a very small channel. It's a really important channel. It's going to become like all the apps on your phone, Uber and Lyft and, Zillow and Tinder, and the apps where you order food, the apps where you order car services, the apps where you get your laundry done, the apps where you find dates. They're all going to consolidate. Instead of a million apps, you're going to have Facebook Messenger. They're all going to work within Messenger. Inside of Messenger, you're going to buy products, you're going to book flights, you're going to go on dates, you're going to do all this stuff inside of Messenger. So Messenger is really becoming the communication channel that businesses will use to engage with subscribers. Right now, the two communication channels are email and ads. That's what you have, really. You can run ads to get people's attention, and you can email them. Those are really the two main communication channels that brands have to get in front of people. Messenger is on the rise, and over the next 5 years, it will take over both email. It won't take over ads, but it'll take over email as the primary communication channel between brands and subscribers. So I am focused on building my Messenger infrastructure now while it's cheap, while it's still free, while Facebook's not charging for it, while it's cheap to run ads, because I know that if I have a 100,000 person Facebook Messenger list in 2 years and everyone else just kind of shows up and is like, oh, I got to do Messenger, it'll be like having a 100,000 person email list when someone has no email list today, right? So that's why I'm focused on it now, because it's becoming a really big channel, and I want to be, the first to take action.
Interesting. And what kind of tools do you recommend, and how do you recommend people to get started with this?
I recommend ManyChat, ManyChat. I'm an investor in that company, and I really like them a lot. And I have a free training that I can give you a link to that kind of breaks down. It leads to a sales process for a course that I have on the subject, but it's a great free training on how to use Messenger to grow your business, and you don't have to buy my course to get value from it. So after this, I can link you over to it. But basically, you want to build out your baseline Messenger infrastructure by having a welcome message and having trying to get people into Messenger and get them to subscribe. Anyone who's on your email list, email them, tell them to message you so you can get them into Messenger. So you want people on every communication medium. The same way that if you have a sale, let's say, and you email your audience about it, you also run ads to those people. You're communicating the sale through email and you're communicating it via ads to the same group, because some people see the email, some people see the ads. Well, now we're trying to get people on Messenger as well. Third communication channel.
Right. And I also seen in a lot of your funnels that, I mean, you're combining a lot of things. I think one of the things I like with Messenger now is that you can take existing opt-in pages and lead magnets and all that kind of stuff and still reuse your assets, but it's just a little bit different way to communicate through the app versus email. Do you think that, so a lot of marketers I talk to are afraid of Messenger clogging up with spam and brands again, and it starts to kind of lose its effect that it has today? What are your thoughts around when everyone starts to use Messenger in that way? How would that change things?
It'll just get more expensive. I mean, think about Facebook ads, right? I started with Facebook ads in 2007. They were cheaper. Facebook ads still work. They're just more expensive. Email. I started with email in 2004. It was cheaper. You know, you could buy an email lead for 5 cents. Now it's $2, $3, $4 to get someone to opt in. Email still works. It's still, email is the #1 ROI for digital marketers across the board. If you look at all people running online marketing, email still has the best ROI on investment spent. If you spend money to generate an email address, to generate someone to opt into your email list, and you do good follow-up marketing with content and sales, it's still the highest ROI channel, but it's much more expensive than it was when it started. Messenger is going to be a great channel for years to come for brands. We'll be talking about it and using it for years. I started talking about Facebook ads 8 years ago or something, okay? And I'm still using it today in 2018, and it's like still my main channel. It's just not as cheap. It's not as affordable. It's not as easy to get in, which is why I'm like encouraging people, like, jump on this wave before everyone else. Do it and take advantage of, this is the next big channel. Jump on it now. You know, it's going to be around. It's just going to be more expensive. It's the way. One of the things that the way you can frame this in your head is Pinterest. Okay, when they first came out, they were super cheap to buy traffic, super cheap, because their targeting capabilities were terrible. Now, as they make more targeting capabilities, you know, you can target keywords, you can target interests, you can target age ranges, you can target genders, you can do stuff like, right? They're rolling out all these targeting capabilities. They get more expensive because it's easier for you to succeed with their platform. So as the platform gets more sophisticated, it costs more because it's easier to be effective. And they know that, and they raise their prices. Same way Facebook raises prices over time because it continually gets better, right? Facebook is up, I think, I want to say 20% year over year. Ad costs from last year to this year, maybe it's even higher. It might be 26%. Facebook is up by a lot. It's a lot more expensive than it was a year ago. And you know what it will be a year from now? A lot more expensive than it is right now. Just how it goes, man.
Well, at some point, for people, then they won't be able to use it in the same way because it will be too expensive for them to kind of use. What are some other platforms of advertising that you see are on the rise or that people should pay attention to?
I don't think that people won't be able to use it because it's too expensive to use. I think it'll just filter out the people with crappy products, low margins, bad marketing. That's what happens, right? It's like the barrier to entry gets higher, so your marketing has to be more sophisticated. You need better quality products. You need higher margin products. You need better story-based marketing. It just gets harder, right? For example, when I launched my Amazon business 2012 or whatever it was way easier to build a 6-figure Amazon business. You still get people launching. Like, I got a friend who launched 3 months ago. He's making 6 figures a month. You still get people who are launching and doing really well. It's just a lot harder than it was, right? The barrier to entry gets higher, which means the people with the crappy products and the crappy marketing and the not real value add don't end up making it, which is why I suggest if you're literally just drop shipping some crap from China and you have no value add beyond some product you're selling, that works right now for a lot of people. And it's great. It's a great way to make money. Don't think of it as a business. Think of it as cash flow. It's not a business. It's not an asset. It's not something you can rely on. it's great cash flow that you can invest in building a brand, which is why I focus so much on teaching people how to build brands, because I believe that is ultimately how you sustain. Like, it's once you have a brand, doesn't so much matter. I mean, you got to have good products, but it's like, it's not about the product anymore. It's about the marketing, the messaging, the content. People like you, they know you, they read your content, and they buy whatever you put out because they like you, right? So this is how you build true stability, and it takes a while. It takes a couple years. Use the cash that you're making in print on demand and drop shipping to invest in developing a white label product brand, or a brand that you're manufacturing, that you build a brand around, because that is how you get stability going forward. So it's not that, yeah, I mean, look, there's always a new traffic source. Like, it was Pinterest, now Instagram's a little cheaper than Facebook. YouTube and Google are on the rise because they're a little cheaper than Facebook. There's traffic sources. There's always you can always go to the traffic store and buy traffic. And you can always do that and arbitrage it. I think of drop shipping and print on demand and stuff kind of as arbitrage, in a way, where it's like you're buying traffic, you're sending it to a product offer page, and the idea is that the traffic is cheaper than it takes you to sell a product, right? You got to be getting traffic cheaper and converting good enough that you make a profit on that initial sale, mostly, for most people, right? When you build a brand, that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. You can go out and buy customers at break even or a loss, because you have this group of people who buy from you consistently over time that give you all this resource to go out and invest in buying new customers, even at a loss, because you have this engine that's running. Does that make sense? You have it gives you way more freedom and flexibility as it relates to content marketing and other forms of advertising that aren't directly in line with a sales process. So I really love and have passion for and appreciation for drop shipping, because it's how I got started. But I don't see it as a business model. I see it as a cash flow system that you can use that cash flow to build an asset and a business model. I look at it as cash flow, not an asset.
Right. Okay. That I see a lot of people are talking about are the rise of memberships, both in kind of traditional businesses and also in information products. How important do you think it is to start having loyalty programs and memberships for businesses after a certain point, when you have your brand and when you have your position?
I don't think it so much matters, honestly. I think people are doing subscription because it gives them this semblance of consistency of revenue on their books. But if you look at my business, I don't have a subscription offer, but I have 40% repeat rate. So in a sense, I have subscription without subscription, because I do good marketing, because I do content marketing, because I have consumable products, because I'm releasing new products all the time, because I'm engaging my customers over time and running sale events every 6 weeks. I get people who come once to buy again. So it's not about getting someone on subscription. It's about frequency of return. Once they buy once, how quickly can you get them to buy twice? How quickly can you get them to buy a third time? So I think the idea here is, yes, subscription is awesome. I'm all for subscription. And if you don't have a model that is set up for subscription, like maybe you don't sell a consumable product, then it becomes about, can you do high quality content marketing and expand your product line so that you have cross-sell opportunities where you can cross-sell people other items? Because not everyone has a model that's relevant for subscription. And some people have models like mine where people who buy from them are very weary of subscription because they've been burned a lot. Like, women over 50 are very afraid of subscription because they've been, at least my customers, my experience is that people are terrified of subscription because they've been burned so many times by scammy subscription programs. So I don't think subscription in and of itself is really something you need, but I do think that repeat purchases is something you need, and you can get that via content marketing, via expanding your product line and cross-selling, and via subscription as an opportunity. Sure.
I also noticed, I heard an interview you did a while back, that you are constantly ramping up now the design and quality of your content, meaning you now have photo shoots, more and more kind of high-end photo shoots. Your emails on Boom has gotten a visual upgrade on things. How important is design in all of this? And is that something you should focus on right away, or can that evolve over time?
I think it's one of those things where once you have resource, you then invest in up-leveling content, up-leveling design, up-leveling video. At first, it's about how do I make money? How do I become profitable? How do I run ads and sell product? And then after you're doing that effectively and you're generating resource, you reinvest that resource back into making the brand better, having better videos, having better design, having better emails, having better content. So I think that a lot of people are pulling money out of their business to live on. And I think if you can have a separate job, or if you can have some other way that you're making money, and you can let your business's money reinvest back into the business, it grows way faster. Ideally, the first 2 years or 3 years, you don't pull anything out. You put 100% back in, because you get out what you put in. And if you put in more, the snowball builds bigger. And when you do pull something out, you can pull out more because you gave it more time to build. So I think that the idea is reinvest as much as you can back in, at least in the short term.
Makes sense. Also, in Scandinavia and Europe, the talk around influencer marketing has kind of exploded the last couple of years. What's your thoughts and opinions around influencer marketing?
I think influencer marketing is great. It's hard. It's not consistent. It's not scalable. I like paid traffic because I can go to the store and buy it and test it and tweak it. It's consistent, it's scalable. Influencer marketing is great if you can get influencers, especially micro influencers, but that's not easy to do. There's no real system for it. It's like SEO. It's like, sure, it works great when you get it, but not many people are able to get it very effectively. It's like not really a piece of advice you can give to a mass group of people, because it's like, how do they do it exactly? Oh, you reach out to everyone and then you message them and then you try to buy a post. It's like, it's kind of nebulous. It's kind of like this sort of like, and now that you can buy traffic on Instagram, it's gotten much less popular in the States, because when it was working real well was when you couldn't buy ads on Instagram, but now you can. So, when you say influencer marketing, what people mostly mean is Instagram. Basically, they mean getting people who have communities to post about their products on Instagram. I would recommend doing it to generate images and videos that you can then use in ads. So go out there and get influencers, even if they have no followers, to post about you, do videos about you, do images about you, and then use those as your ads. That is a good strategy. That's something you can tell everyone to do, because then you're not relying on the influencers who post about you for the sales. You're relying on them for the generation of the conversion asset that you're going to use to advertise your brand.
That's super smart. I like that a lot. So in the chat, we have someone called Rick that says that the more complex multi-data points becomes, the more difficult to manage. How do we get smarter without losing overview? How do you kind of get control over this massive data points and these massive funnels you're working with?
So the more complex the multi-data point becomes, the more difficult to manage. I think basically this question doesn't really make sense, because the more data points that are available, the more options you have to choose from so what multi-data point contextual targeting is, like, you have a bunch of data points and you choose the ones you want to build an audience, and that audience is who you put your ad creative in front of. So, for example, I want men who are over 50, who have purchased a outdoor product in the past, who like outdoor living, and who live in California. Those are 5 data points. So that group of people I've now saved into an audience, and that is who I'm going to put my ad creative in front of. My ad creative might be a video from an influencer saying this product is awesome. And I'm going to take that ad creative, I'm going to put it in front of that audience. The multiple data points are just the things that I'm aggregating to create a group of people who I want to show an advertisement. Does that make sense?
Right. Makes perfect sense. Great. Okay, so Ezra, I'm not going to take a lot more time, so thank you so much. I'll link to Zipify in the chat, and also if you could send me that link to Messenger training on the email afterwards, I'll drop that in the chat as well. And I also recommend all the marketers watching here to check out Ezra's stuff on smartmarketer.com. I think you have a lot of great and free content there that is super valuable.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love, talking to marketers and talking to folks who are building their business. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope to catch up with you soon.
Thank you. Bye.